If you asked a room of 100 Australian and 100 New Zealanders to put their hand up if they think property is a great path to financial freedom, I reckon most hands would go up. If you then asked who owns some investment real estate, about 40% would keep their hand up. If you asked them to leave their hand up if they're financially free, most would put their hand down. So why is this the case? Is it the property? Or is it the famous real estate agent talk? Location, location, location. No, it's because of negative gearing. So what is negative gearing? Well, according to Wikipedia's definition, negative gearing is a form of financial leverage where the investor borrows money to invest, but the gross income generated by the investment is less than the cost of owning and managing the investment. Hang on a minute. Is that a typo? Let me get this straight. So you buy a piece of property to deliberately lose money and hope one day that the property will go up high enough so that when you sell it and add in your losses, you make a profit. Got it. Okay, so the profit must be guaranteed then. Hey? You mean you lose money with no guarantee there will be a profit? Just a tax return of 48.5% of your loss? That means you lose 51.5% of your cash. Wow. Well, did you know only 3 countries have negative gearing? Australia, New Zealand and Canada. Here are some common selling phrases you would have heard from negative gearing salespeople and financial planners, and I've just added in a few facts. Well, they say, buy and hold for the long term. If you take the equity out of your home to buy an investment property, it takes on average 16 years for the rent to cover the mortgage payments. They say negative gearing provides the community with more rental properties. Well, did you know just 8% of negatively geared property purchases are new houses? They say throughout history property doubles every 7 to 10 years. Well, since 1972, property has doubled every 7 to 10 years due to the fast, easy credit and deregulation of the banking industry in 1982. But prior to that, it took 38 years for properties to double. They say let the taxman pay for your investment property. Well, did you know when you own a negatively geared property, your after-tax available income reduces as you only get 48.5% as a tax deduction. The remaining 51.5% comes out of your pay packet. They say negative gearing builds wealth. Well, negative gearing can only work in a rapidly increasing market. Negative gearing is designed to lose money, and to fund the losses you need to keep on working. In fact, the more loss-making property you own, the less income you have for your own lifestyle, and your buying power also shrinks. So, when does this strategy make you wealthy? Well, the answer? Because you're speculating when you sell it, but that's only if the value's gone up. According to the McCarthy Group's Guide to Negative Gearing, they state, wouldn't positive gearing be better? The short answer is yes. It's obviously better to make more in rent than you pay in interest and expenses. This is known as positive gearing. Most investment properties are negatively geared to begin with because properties that are positively geared from the outset are just too hard to come by. The only way to start with a positively geared property is to 1. Put up a big cash deposit, normally 40 to 50% of the purchase price, so the loan is smaller and the repayments are lower. And or 2, find a really cheap property that immediately demands high rent. The report also goes on to say negative gearing isn't the end goal. Okay, so here's my question. If negative gearing isn't the end goal and you only make your profit when you sell, wouldn't the logical alternative be a positively geared property giving you cash flow every month? Did you know positively geared properties are easy to find? And they're in your suburb, and probably even in your street. 99% of all properties can be positively geared. The only exception can be houses with more debt than their value, and even in some cases these can be positively geared too. So how does this work? Well, in Australia and New Zealand, people are prepared to pay more on mortgage payments than they would be to pay for rent payments. This creates an opportunity for you, the investor, to skip those 16 years of negative gearing waiting for the rent to be high enough to cover your payments and expenses. Remember that our negative gearing experts said you make your profit when you sell. Then in the meantime, you lose money. Pay for maintenance, rates, water, insurance, and get 48.5% of your loss back from the government. So the solution is, don't rent it to a tenant who doesn't care about your property. Rent it to the person who's going to buy your property. Under our system, our buyers will pay you a rental figure that reflects what they would be paying to own the property. They also become contractually responsible for the rates, water, insurance and maintenance. Then the buyer will take the property off your hands down the road, leaving you free to invest in your next positively geared property. With so many sellers and investors wanting to be positively geared, the industry has become so large that in 2011, the government census asked in question 56, is this dwelling owned outright, owned with a mortgage, being purchased under a rent-buy scheme, being rented, being occupied rent-free, being occupied under a life tenure scheme or other? If you're somewhere within the 16 years waiting for your property to cover your outgoings, your investment property is restricting your family's lifestyle, why not change the property's use and see it return an income each and every month, day one? That's right, day one. Whether you bought off the plan or at an investment seminar where you're made to feel like you are letting your financial future down if you didn't buy today, or even if you want to use this strategy to create cash flow selling the home you live in, all you need to do is fill in the form on the link in the email and email it to me at ben@easybuyhomes.com.au and give yourself a pay rise with positive cash flow day one. Look forward to speaking with you soon. Bye for now.